to the Women of Power Hour show here today on Facebook and YouTube. My name is Laura Topper, and I am feeling very, very excited. This is the premiere Women of Power Hour show for 2023, and what a way to kick off with an incredible power guest who is waiting in the wings. She's backstage, and I'm very excited for Sabrina Victoria to be here to be sharing her story, to be inspiring me and us and whoever is watching this or gets to view this at any moment of how we can live more fully, more meaningfully, and more powerfully, and to live into the truth of what it is that we're here to do and to know our own purpose and to be getting on with that in this life. So I'm just going to read a little out about Sabrina here from her website. She is, who is she? This is what is on the about page of her own website. She's the creator and CEO of Human Better 365, Sober Society, and Her Version, and the Jacket Junkie. Can't wait to find out what that's all about. She's a speaker, entrepreneur, and author of Envision Your Best Life, a 90-day planner, and creator of Catapult Your Life in 365 Days. And she's a self-proclaimed queen of time. I mean, I could read on and on because there are so many amazing things in her biography here on her website. So I'd rather not read it out and rather bring Sabrina in here right now so that she can share and talk about what it is that she does and how she got to where she is, and to inspire us all with the love from her heart. Hi, Sabrina. Welcome to the Women of Power Hour.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Isn't this great? We're across the airwaves. You were on Gina's broadcast last year, not long ago, and Gina reached out to me and said, "You've got to have this incredible guest come onto your show." And here you are right now. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you, 2023. Here we come.
2023. And what does 2023 look like for you?
Oh, so much goodness. So much goodness. I have been working diligently. I shouldn't even say working. I should say building. I have been building diligently, and big things, really big things, the next big things. I work on a 5-year and a 12-year plan at the same time. So I've got all of my graphs and my numbers and my, my focus and my goals set, and super, super excited for all the goodness.
So let's delve in. Let's understand. I'd really love to understand and to know more about you and who you are and what it is that you're really doing. I know that you're bringing community together. You bring women together. It's about the individual and the collective. And as you bring women together, you inspire them to share their own story so that they can inspire others to really live a meaningful and fulfilled life. How did you get to doing this? What was the moment for you? It's like, oh my, 'cause that's not something that just happens. I mean, it's like, it does just happen, but often there's like a kind of a spark of, okay, this is what I have to do. What was it for you?
Looking back now, as far as where I am right now, as far as my power, my voice, the community that I'm building, I never in a million years would have thought any of this. I was like the shyest, like timid, hiding behind my mom's skirt little girl for a very long time. But a little bit about me, a little bit about my backstory. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a fairly strict religion. There's a lot of black and white, no, not so much gray areas as a lot of religions are nowadays. And everything was fine until I ended up pregnant at the age of 20 with no husband. And when that happened, I was what's called disfellowshipped. And that means that you are completely disassociated from your entire family and your entire community, basically everyone and everything that you had ever known. So when you're raised as a Jehovah's Witness, you are told to only communicate with Jehovah's Witnesses. So you have no outside communication with what they call worldly people or anyone that's not a Jehovah's Witness. So what happens is when you sin like that, when you're thrown out, you don't have anybody because you haven't made any relationships outside of the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I was completely isolated. And that's a lot of where my drive comes from as far as creating community in the world that I'm in now, because I lacked it so much in a very detrimental, volatile, vulnerable point in my life. I mean, I was 20 years old and I was pregnant. It was a big deal.
That must have felt so, you must have felt so, I don't know, just alone, just so
Yes.
alone.
Yes, very much
How did you
alone.
cope? What did you do? How did you cope emotionally? What was the form of emotional intelligence, or was there any, or was there not any?
There
What did you
wasn't
do?
any. Yeah, there wasn't any. I was just flailing around. I don't even looking back now, I don't even know sometimes how I did it. I did a really emotional post about a year ago when my son turned 18 years old. The beginning lines were, "I can't even believe that we're both still here." Like I honestly thought we would both be dead at this point because the amount of times I contemplated suicide, the amount of times that I wanted to run away, the amount of times I wanted to drive my car off a bridge. I just, I don't even know how I did it. One of the things that I am so grateful for, one of the things that I practice continuously at the age that I am now, is showing so much gratitude and so much love for the Sabrina who was 20 and 21 and 22 and 23 and 24, who didn't give up and who kept taking steps forward, even though she didn't know what it would look like, even though there was no food in the bank account. I mean, I had a rolling balance of about negative $172 in my bank account at any given time. I mean, I had no money. I was working a minimum wage job. My car was being towed out of the parking lot, repoed. I had eviction notices on my apartment door every other month. I mean, it was a complete state of anxiety and stress, unworthiness, lots of crying in the bathroom, um, just turmoil, absolute turmoil.
So I wonder, having come from the family that you were brought up in, and that with your chosen family of origin and their belief system and the religious belief system, what was your, where did you turn to for, what did you turn to for faith? What was your kind of go-to of to keep you knowing that this too is God expressing, and that I can get through this, surrendering to a higher power?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The relationship that I had with God was incredibly tumultuous, or whatever that word is, during this time. I mean, there would be eras where I was all in, and other eras where I was
Yeah.
like, "This is just bullshit." Excuse my language. I just had a lot of love and I had a lot of hate in my life at that time. And to make things just a little more volatile, when I probably about a year or two in, while living like this, I wound up meeting a man who had red flags stapled all over his body. But I was just in such a state of lack that I didn't have any means of self worth or self love or self esteem. And so I fell into that relationship just grasping for any sort of attention or any sort of affection that I could find from anybody because I was just so lost. And that relationship led me down a whirlwind, just a roller coaster of toxicity, narcissism, really allowed me eventually to find my path as far as my codependency issues and, high empathetic vibes. But it took a long time, dealing with verbal abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse, over the course of years and years and years before I finally opened up a book and listened to a few people. I know the first person that I actually came to as far as personal development was actually Joel Osteen, who runs a church in Texas, and
Yeah.
just fell in love with all of the words that he was speaking as far as power and confidence and that we're worthy and really kind of looking around at my relationship and realizing that the life that I had with this person was not healthy. But
Right.
just being naive, just being kind of dumb and not necessarily recognizing that it was unhealthy, just kind of thinking that it was normal maybe.
And I think that can be a trait of ours. It's a universal, it's a collective idea that if we get it wrong, or if we're with somebody that is not um, shining that light through us and for us and as us, and that we don't feel supported, that then I hear that, and when you're saying that you were the one that was naive, and you were the one that that basically got it wrong. And I'd like to just switch that round, because we only know what we know as we know it when we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing the best that we can in that moment
Yeah.
with what
One
we know. And then we grow and we learn. And then we walk into a center or a church or a spiritual center or a self development group, pick up a book, and we see it differently.
Yeah, definitely. And that is where I am right now as far as building out the community that I'm building out, Her Nation. It all drives on the cusp of that, of if I would have heard stories, if I would have had a community, if I would have been able to ask questions, the amount of time that I would have spent in that darkness would have been a lot shorter. So my idea is, can we educate, can we open up the eyes of individuals just a little bit sooner than maybe they would have, in order to shorten the amount of trauma that people are going through in their lives, so that they can then educate themselves, rise, and then continue to kind of break those cycles so that we can mentally and emotionally evolve as human beings.
So what was it that really pulled you into, I mean, I hear, what you went through obviously was a huge shift of, I've got to do something. What was your first move? What did you do to get this community going
Ooh,
initially?
yeah. So when I was in that relationship, I was 8 years in when I fell into personal development. I was on the floor in the bathroom in the dark, crying my eyes out, completely helpless. I had no money in my bank account. The abuse, mental and emotional abuse, was just through the roof every single day, being told I was an idiot and I was dumb and I didn't know anything, and I was ghetto and I was trash, and I, Hispanic background. So, ghetto Mexican trash, anything that he could do to kind of throw hurtful words towards me. And I'm on the bathroom on the floor, just having a total mental breakdown from whatever had gone on that day. And I opened up my phone and I Googled for the very first time, why is my boyfriend bullying me? Because I didn't know any other vernacular other than bullying. And that's when the entire world of narcissistic abuse, empathy, codependency just kind of hit me right in the face. And along with that was the whole world of personal development, power, voice, and the importance of women having money. And so, literally within a couple of months of that happening, maybe even a couple of weeks, I don't even know, I opened up a secret bank account and I started a secret business. Over the course of 4 years, I wound up starting 3 secret businesses, and I was able to
What were
collect
they?
$50,000 over the course of
Oh,
those 4 years to escape. My very first thing that I started was just eBay. I just kind of started selling my son's clothes. I would take maybe 5 or 6 items, throw them in the trunk of my car, drive him to the office, take pictures, when he was when my partner was watching TV, or wasn't at the house or when I was at the office, because I worked with him too. He was also my boss by this point. And so, yeah, just 10 items, 12 items. I had like goals that I was setting for myself as far as how much money I needed by so many, so much time in order to have enough money to escape. So I started like tracking my money and investing my money. And soon after that, I started on Fiverr.com, which is like near and dear to my heart, even to this day. And then I eventually wound up opening my personal development, health, wellness, yoga, Reiki, meditation type stuff, veganism, and started making money off of programs that I was selling and stuff like that. So it was definitely a course or a journey, to get to
Yeah.
that point of collecting $50,000, but literally just one day. It was June, and I took my son, our clothes, and my bicycle. I left everything else behind, and I started all over again with a mattress on the floor, and started building up my business. So that was kind of the catalyst for it. Literally, the very first day, maybe not the very first day, but I feel like it was the first day, I opened up a little YouTube channel. And the little YouTube channel was called Her Version, her being me. And it was an area for me to be able to speak my truth, my story, my perspective of what happened to me, because obviously my version is different than my parents' version. It's different than the elders at the Jehovah's Witness, Kingdom Hall's version. It's different than my ex's version, baby daddy's version. They're all different. But I needed a place for me to be able to speak, because what I had gone through was so dark. It was so dark. And I just felt this power. I'm like, people need to know. Women need to know that we have choices. They need to know that we need money. They need to know, the rules with, the whole issue that I went through with my son's father was ridiculous during that time. So I'm just like, I need to be able to share this stuff. And what happened is, as I'm sharing these stories, women started coming out of the woodwork, and they started saying like, hey, your story is like my story, or I can relate to this story so much, or thank you so much for sharing your story. I am now taking the steps to get out of that relationship, or to start making some more money, or to fix things going on with my child's father. And I started to grow real relationships with these total strangers. It's these women that I had no idea who they were or where they were from. And I eventually just kind of was like, hey, fell in love with some of them, like friendship wise, and was like, hey, why don't you come on? Why don't you just share some of your story on this thing that I'm doing, this YouTube channel that I'm creating? And those women started to recommend other women, and it turned into a podcast. Wasn't even trying to do a podcast. It turned into a podcast. And then that podcast eventually became so big, 100, 200, 250, 300 women, that it eventually became a community that I now call Her Nation. And the entire premise of the whole thing is that you know stuff that I don't know, and I know stuff that you don't know. And the only way to rise as a community is you speak your story and I learn from it, and I speak my
Mhm.
story and you learn from it. And then with that, we both get an extra nugget or two of information that really helps us rise. And that's what the whole thing is based off of.
It is epic.
Thank you.
It is epic. And I'm just, first of all, I would really want to thank you for sharing
Yeah.
right now from your heart, and for your vulnerability, and for using the vulnerability that is the story, to rise above and to show and be the example to us, to each of us, of
Yeah.
how to transform our lives,
Yeah.
and how to see through the stuff and know that we can make changes, positive changes, even when it feels like hell on earth, that
Yeah.
we can make a change. And I'm just so, your story is is so inspiring, because not only have you broken through, cracked through a whole religious belief system that you were brought up with, you've chosen to turn that around, do it differently, and then chosen to do your relationships differently
Yeah.
and to become financially free as well at the same time, and empower and inspire so many women to break free of their own limitations.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank
I
you.
want what you've got.
Thank you for
It's
that.
amazing. You must, I mean, how do you feel that this is happening?
You know what? Sometimes I'm so overwhelmed with emotion that I do actually get emotional, but it's not overwhelmed with with what is happening now currently. It's actually emotion that is coming to me, seeing what the future is. I am so clear. My vision is so vivid in what we are creating as a community that it literally elicits like real rushes of emotion within me, just visualizing, like just seeing the expansion and the snowball effect, and just thinking like, holy crap, like this is happening. This is
Mm.
really happening. And this thing that I am looking to create is like right here. It's right here. And yeah, so much so the emotion rides up in me, and just really seeing so many women that are understanding the mission, that are grabbing onto the mission, that are diving in with me and saying, wow, I can totally see this also. I totally get this also. And I am right here with you, ride or die. And these are women that I've never met in real life. These are women that have just come into the community. I opened up a platform for them to be able to speak their story. They're diving into all of the other areas that we're slowly creating within the community, and they're pulling other women in, and they're understanding it. And we're literally running together. I mean, it's so cool.
Because you've kind of tapped into a core wounding here, not
Yeah.
kind of. You have tapped into a core wounding
Yeah.
that many experience, men, women, they. I mean, this isn't gender specific. This is how we operate in the world when we believe that what we're told is the way it needs to be until we see it differently.
Yeah.
And I love this. You're the, okay, I'm showing you, we can see it differently, can do
Yeah.
it differently and say it differently. And so, what about these transformations? When you see other women transforming and making these changes, what is actually changing for women that are in your community?
Oh, I mean, the choice, the freedom of choice. I can't even tell you how many breakthroughs that happen where there's this aha moment of I, I can choose. I can choose
Mm,
yes or no for my life at all times. Even per se commitments that we make in relationships, in career, jobs, in money, in housing, in cars, in friendships. There is a commitment, and then there is a possibility for a time of pivoting. And I think
yeah.
that that is the most powerful thing that anybody could come to realize is, yes, commit,
Mm.
100% commit, and you can pivot. That's a thing.
I'm so pleased you've brought this up. First of all, that I can choose piece is so vital, because I know when I'm working with women, I often hear, I didn't even know I had a choice. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize I could change my mind or
Yeah.
change this, because I was
Yeah.
so trained to believe that you just get on with it. And
Yeah.
I think that's a major one. And then the other piece where you just said the possibility for pivot, sometimes in our lives, we know there's that window there, and we don't jump through, we don't open, we know, don't we, in our hearts,
Yeah.
actually, I could do it now. And yet we stop ourselves because we think, no, I can't. If I do that, it'll disrupt this. It'll let that person down. It will break up a relationship and I won't be able to,
Yeah.
all the story
All the stories.
that keeps
Yeah.
us in this held in that place of
Yeah.
unhappiness.
Yes. Yes. And still having the knowing of being able to is just that, even that is so powerful.
Yes.
Where the low vibration comes is when you feel like you don't have a choice. So even if you're choosing to stay in whatever circumstance you're in, at least knowing that you could is that in itself is so powerful.
Because that is where the freedom lies. That's where our mind then we can then say, okay, what would it look like if I did, or if this were different? And we can give
Yeah.
ourselves that opportunity to make a change.
Yeah.
So are
Funny
you
story.
inspiring? Oh
Yeah.
no, you go on, go ahead. There was a
Um,
lag there.
but I wanna just notate, I don't really talk about this part of my story very often, but we're kinda going down this route, so I figured I'd mention it. Um, when I say that I got down, 8 years in and started saving money and working this other side of this thing that I was creating for myself as far as freedom, I did not sit down and say, I am leaving this relationship 100%. I sat down and started to create money, wealth, power for myself to be able to have the choice. That's all it
Right.
was. It was, if this ever got to a volatile point, because that's where our relationship was going. It was starting to become volatile. Or maybe I should say I was starting to become volatile because I just had there's like a tipping point of like, you just can't anymore. And I was
Mm,
feeling that. And I'm like, I need to create a circumstance for myself to be able to pivot if I need to. So I didn't dive into the saying, yes, 100%, this is my date. I'm going to 100%. I went into the saying, I want choices and I don't
hmm
want to have a what if. I want to be able to, at any given time where there's a tipping point, be able to say, you know what? I'm good. And be able to walk out and have that freedom and have that ability to be able to do that. And that's what we need to create for ourselves. We need to create an atmosphere where we have choices.
Yes. And what you were saying when you just said where there's a tipping point, sometimes we don't even realize that we've gone beyond the tipping point way down the line. It's like, and we just keep accepting what is until then there's a realization.
Yeah, and that's when
So
bad things can happen. That's
that's
when
when it's,
suicides
yeah,
happen, that's when
yeah,
murders happen, that's when things that you can't, like, just ridiculous crap, that's when affairs happen, like,
yeah.
drastic things happen when you're feeling stuck and you're feeling like you don't have a choice and you're feeling like you're in a prison.
So do you actually, now you can see, it's her version. Is this really about creating a new version and giving yourself the freedom to create that new version
You know
for
what?
our
I
lives?
absolutely love that, and a few people have actually said that to me. And that I think is absolutely brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant, a great thought process. And yeah, 100% to be able to create a new version of yourself. But I'd be lying if I said that that was my thought process on it. Like, that just kind of has slowly become that. The verbiage, I still remember the day that I sat down with a thesaurus trying to figure out what I was going to call this thing. Um, yeah, her version was just me being able to tell my version. I mean, her was me. That's what it started out with. It was
Yeah.
just my version. I needed a place to share.
Amazing. So right here and now, I would like to bring on if I can do my mouse, I would like to just pull up your website because I just want people to see. If anybody's watching here right now, I'm using Restream. I'm not too sure if um, how this is translating onto Facebook and YouTube. So we're messing around here. We're playing around with Restream, but here is Sabrina's website. And there are many, many things on here. Sabrina, you have 3 podcasts. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. It's like, okay.
Yep.
The one thing that's key here is that you said that you really help people with their time management
Yeah.
skills. And so
Yeah.
I'd love you to share a little bit about that, because it looks like you are doing so much. There are kind of 4
Yeah.
of you out there.
Yeah.
And you're working
100%.
on a 5 and a 10-year plan or 12-year plan at the moment. So
Yeah.
maybe you could talk a little bit about this as I'm scrolling through your website. What is it about time management that you feel is very empowering for women, for men, for each of us right now? How
Yeah.
can that really help
For
us?
for humans in general. The name of the company is Human Better 365. And the whole
Here
premise
we
of that
go.
is human as a verb. So to human better, to be better, to do better, to human better. And 365 meaning every single day. So I very much am a firm believer of, bettering yourself by 1%, 2% every single day. And if you do that continuously year after year after year, the amount of physical growth, mental and emotional growth, financial growth um, that will come into your life is exponential, just by setting small, um, attainable goals throughout an extended amount of time. So one of the things that I teach 90 days at a time always. And I have a planner, which I actually have here. No pun intended. Wasn't necessarily expecting to do that, but it's with me everywhere.
Oh, come on then.
I have
Okay.
a 90-day Envision Your Best Life. I use it myself. It's been in circulation for 3 years, and I have improved it probably about 10 different times. But it is an amazing tool to be able to move yourself forward or catapult yourself forward 90 days at a time and really make sure that you're implementing a lot of those goals or focuses that you have in your life. Specializes in the 4 pillars, which is, health, relationships, prosperity, and joy. And joy being the largest one, because I believe that joy should encompass every aspect of our life. But a lot of what I teach is just based upon, focus, time, energy, attention, and this concept of managing time and how it's a myth. There is no such
Mm,
thing as able to manage time, because time is infinite. So it's
right.
time. I mean, you and I have been on here for 30 something minutes now. You can't grab time. You can't really organize time, but what you do have control over, right? I'm all about what do you have control over and what don't you have control over. Because you have no control over time itself, what you do have control of is your energy and your attention or your focus. So, how high or how low is your energy vibrations throughout the day? Where are you having bursts of energy? Where are you kind of at a lower vibration as far as energy? And then really planning out your day according to that energy spikes and lulls. And then also the attention. So, where is your attention throughout the day? And is your attention on the things that are important to you as far as your health, your relationships, your prosperity, and your joy? And then are you blocking out areas of your life to be able to have downtime, TV time, TikTok time, social media time, you know, time with your family, with your spouse, whatever it is, and really honing in and organizing and holding yourself accountable to your yeses, all the things that you're saying yes to. One of the things that I talk about is when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to everything else. You and I are sitting here on a podcast right now. We are, building our business. We're giving value to our audience right now. We're doing a good thing. However, while we're doing this really good thing, there's other things. There's 100 other things we could be doing right now that we are quote unquote procrastinating on right now. So this whole thought process of procrastination and focus and how there really is no such thing as procrastination, because we're always procrastinating on something.
Yes.
You can only do one thing at a time. So this whole
Yes.
guilt and all of this heaviness that we're always feeling all the time of all the procrastination, it's not even a thing. Like, it's literally not even a thing. I don't even say the word procrastination, because
No.
like it like as far as describing something, because it's not real. It's literally not real, because you're always doing something. It's just, what are you choosing to do? So what are you saying
Yes.
yes to? So really concentrating on that aspect of your world.
And I think that's so true. I don't use the word procrastination a lot. What I do believe is that that we put off what is necessary by distracting ourselves, so that we can actually be saying yes to things that become a habitual yes, and they're not really where the main focus needs to be at the moment. And it's like, okay, let's do that so that I'm distracted and I don't have to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 100.
So,
Definitely.
Sabrina, what is your superpower?
My superpower: building community. That's it.
It is.
I do consider myself very organized. I do consider myself very time oriented, but I rock at bringing people together. I rock at helping people rise and see their worth within a community. I mean, you can see it in real time, and it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful, and it's such a gift to be able to watch.
How many people are in your community? Is it a Facebook group? Is it a private
Yeah,
community? Yeah.
yeah. 1.2 thousand.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
It's an active group with 1.2 thousand
it is very active.
people.
Yeah, yeah,
What's
it's
the name
very
of
active.
your what's the name
Her
of your
nation
Facebook page?
her
It's
nation
called
dot
Her
her nation
Nation.
dot life. Her nation dot life. I think there's another her nation, so you have to put the dot life in there.
And is it a group or a page?
It's a group. It's a private. I would have to let you in if you're trying to show it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very active group full of just so much goodness, so much energy, and so much willingness to learn. I have a support group for personal development that meets every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I have a mastermind group that meets every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. I have a book club. We have impact panels. In April, we have a 16-hour summit, all females, that we're going to be running 2023. So just so much awesome stuff. And everything that we're doing revolves around learning together as a group, sharing our stories together as a group in order to continue to rise.
And is this a free membership group? Can anybody
Yeah,
join? I mean, not
yeah,
anybody, but is it open to anybody that applies and that is accepted?
yeah, it's free. 100.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. So you're providing all of these services, you're providing opportunities for women to come together, to rise, to know their worth, to create a new story. I want to know, how do you, Sabrina, actually kind of downtime or recharge, or where do you get that inspiration from now, aside from the group, for your own personal life?
That's a great question. And I am what would be the word that I'm trying to use for this? I am debating on how to voice this, because, and I get this question all the time, but I just love building my community. I just love it. Like, if I had downtime, and nobody else was around. So like nobody was expecting me to go do anything. Like when I'm just left here, no one's in the house, my fiance's doing something, my son's doing something. I don't kick my feet up and do anything. I don't relax. I don't read. I don't do anything. I literally sit and build my business. I am constantly pulling people towards us. I'm constantly talking about, I'm constantly on podcasts. I'm on social media talking about it, explaining it. I'm writing stuff down constantly, just drawing it out, just envisioning what it's going to look like and what it's going to sound like and what it's going to feel like and who to bring in and who to contact and the programs to build out and how to help more and what books to write. I mean, the creativity that pours out of me when I have my downtime is just infinity. It's just infinity. And it's hard saying that as a female or as a human because there's this thing that's put on us that says we have to have downtime and we're going to burn out. And we have to relax. And I just haven't hit that point yet. You know, I just had a conversation with my girlfriend Vivian probably like 6 months ago. And she literally said, she's like, I'm not going to lie to you. I literally, she's like, when I talked to you like a year prior, I thought to myself, there's no way she's going to be able to keep going at this speed. She's totally going to burn out. Like she's all on a high horse and she's building her little community and she's doing her thing, but there's no way that she can continue to go at this pace, building the way that she is building. She's going to crash and burn. And she's like, I'm apologizing to you right now because I was totally talking shit about you. And you're still going. She's like, you're still freaking going. And it's growing and it's expanding and you can see it. And I'm still at that point now. You know, I still have so much fire that's just burning inside of me, just ready and willing to just dive in all the time.
And that is, it's like when we are on a mission, when there's something that wants to come through, and it's like God given, it's your God given gift right now to bring this through and to be the one to do this. And this is your assignment. This is your divine assignment, and you have to do it. There's no time
Yeah,
for it.
exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
However, I would say, oh,
Yeah. And a lot of
just
people
watch a
do.
movie sometimes because
Yeah,
you
a
know
lot of people do. I get a lot of slack from it. I don't want to say a lot, but I do. I get a lot of side comments. I have even sometimes people dropping into my DMs every once in a while that are just like, dude, you know, like, are you taking some time off? Like, are you, because they're worried about me and they're, you know,
yeah.
they're seeing it. They can see it in real time. And I love that. And I appreciate that. And at the same time, like, I'm good. I am in a point in my life right now where I can feel my vibrations. Like I know when I need to step away. I know when I need to calm down or to go for a little walk or whatever it is. I can feel the vibrations of my body. And it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. I just love it. Now, if we want to take into consideration my fiance,
Yeah, I was going to ask
um,
you. You've mentioned
yeah,
your fiance.
my
Where is your
fiance,
fiance in all of this?
yeah, my fiance loves to hang out, loves to have downtime, loves to relax. So, he, you know, weekly or whatever it is, we live down here in South Florida, so we do go to the beach, we do go for walks, but if I'm being totally truthful, like he's the one that initiates it. So he'll come in and be like, you know, let's go do
Turn that
something.
computer off.
Yeah. And I'm like, literally, he's like tearing me away
No.
from, you know, with my nails. And I'm doing a whole lot of eye rolls. But one thing that I am really good at, that I do pride myself on is, we do plan things out. So again, time management. So, a week or so in advance, we do have nuggets of time that are allotted where I don't touch my computer, I don't touch my phone. I am 100% in, dedicated to family time, dinner time, time with him, whatever it is. And I am 100% off and fully engaged with whoever
Engaged.
I'm with. And that is with anybody, not just my family. Like if I go out with a friend, if I go out with a colleague or whatever it is, somebody within the community who lives here, um, anybody would say, like, I don't have my phone out. I don't look at my phone. I am with
Yeah.
you and I am present with you. And a lot of that, I am capable of doing that because when I am dedicated and when I am on and when I am focused, I'm at 100%. So there's no guilt when I'm stepping away or walking away, doing something other than, because I know that when I am here, I am fully 100% on and dedicated to what I'm doing. So there's no guilt, when I'm away from it.
And I think that's a highly evolved way of working now, that we can really laser into something really deeply and then go away, switch off, and laser into what the next and the new.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I could sit here talking with you for hours. And I know that this show is kind of like, this is the Women of Power hour. So we're not going to go on over an hour. And I'd really love it right now. I'm going to put you on full screen and for you to share, for if there is a woman or somebody that's on the other side of this screen right now, a real human being doing, somebody that is going through what they may believe is unchangeable, or a situation that they cannot see the light of how they could transform that. Would you kindly share something to inspire or just to plant a seed of faith or hope for that person right now,
Yes.
Sabrina? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to put you on
One,
full screen because I think this would be really beautiful.
I love it. Thank you. One of the things that I have carried with me for well over 10 years now, I adopted it probably when I was like 26, 27 years old. And it's just one sentence. And the sentence is, everything's going to be okay. And the reason that I was able to adopt that sentence is because I had already gone through so much. By the time I was 26, 27 years old, I had, been disfellowshipped, lost my family, lost my community, had a baby, lived in debt, was enduring a narcissistic relationship, had no money, floundering around with no voice, no power. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. I've done some really hard things in my life and I'm still here. And I started to really recognize that I can do anything. I can do anything. I can do hard things, as they say. And the mantra of everything is going to be okay, whenever I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety, struggle, challenge, darkness that's coming my way, I just sit and I just remind myself of just that simple, simple sentence of everything's going to be okay. And once I reassure myself and all of my inner children, my community inside me, that everything's going to be okay, then I start taking action. And I think that's one of the most important things, is taking yourself out of a thought process of this is impossible and I can't, into a thought process of how can I? And just that little shift of I can't to how can I really allows your brain to pause and open, to pause and open. Because if there is an opportunity, which I believe there is always an opportunity to pivot, always. Sometimes it's just scary. But once you can start to brainstorm in the arena of this is happening, it seems impossible, but how can I? that's where a lot of the power happens. That's where a lot of the fire and the igniting of creativity and brilliance really starts to come your way. So the two takeaways is everything's going to be okay. That's the first thing you say. Come to the problem of I can't, and all you do is switch your thinking to how can I, and sit in the process of that. Get out a notebook. I am a big component of writing everything down, and just start writing down all the things, all the ways, even if they're crazy, even if they're absolutely insane ideas. You're like, I would never even freaking do this. It really gives your mind and your creativity permission to be able to just go to the heavens of how could I? How can I? And it becomes fun, and it becomes exciting, and it becomes bright and brilliant. So I think that would be my main takeaways.
Sabrina, they are gems, and I am just feeling so like filled up and grateful and honored that you're here right now on the Women of Power Hour broadcast, shining your light, sharing your truth, being authentic, and giving permission to women around the world who are ready to make changes for their lives. And it doesn't always mean that that we have to make changes because we're in a place of emotional disruption. It can just mean that we know that it's time to make a shift from whatever it is that we're in, and we want to see and live it differently. Thank you so much for being here today, Sabrina. Yes. And if anybody wants to reach out, and is the Facebook group one of the best places for people to find you and to connect with you?
100.
DM. Yeah.
Yes, jump into the Facebook group. I give a warm welcome to everybody. So yeah, 100%. Come join us. It's a fabulous place to be, and just full of so much goodness and so much positivity.
Thank you, Sabrina Victoria, for being here and being a woman of power.
I love it.
Until next time, we will be back again soon with another broadcast. And stay well, know that you are loved, and of course, open up to the possibilities that are here right now for your life. And you can reach out to Sabrina at hernation.life on the Facebook group. And the details of that will be below in the post as well, with all the details about my own offerings. Love and blessings to you all. Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you.